Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight. We are multi-streaming this on several channels already, but midway through the video, we're just going to be solely on Lo-Fi Disciple. If you haven't already subscribed, please do that. I think you'll enjoy this content. And we are picking up our inquiry into this Charlie Kirk assassination. He was unalived on a live stream in front of hundreds of thousands of people, soon to be millions, as the video started being shared on last September 10th, 2025. And since then, well, I should say, since about 3 days after his death, the internet went crazy with all types of discussion over this particular assassination of Charlie Kirk, prominent Republican political figure that was the founder and CEO of Turning Point USA, a political organization that was designed to try to fight left-wing culture and ideology in politics, and he was publicly assassinated. Now, the mainstream narrative in the story was that there was a lone shooter. They're accusing a guy named Tyler Robinson, and I think at the time he was 20 years old, maybe 22. And they're saying that he was the guy that they were looking for 33 hours until he turned himself in. And once they pulled the subpoenas, they found out there was four different time markers that supposedly he was taken into custody. None of them are consistent with each other on the day of the 11th. So it's very interesting. The official story then just came out as 33 hours, supposedly, according to the testimony from some of the police that has not been corroborated by the family. Supposedly that he turned himself in to his parents first, who then prompted him to turn himself in to the police, and they couldn't find him for 33 hours. And so since then, for the last 11 months, the internet has been sleuthing. Citizen journalists, independent investigators, because after 33 hours, they called off the investigation. They immediately, the U.S. government, including the FBI, decided they had found their man, and there was no inquiry into any other concepts. There was a guy named Joe Kent who was a part of the federal government, and he wanted to actually investigate particular foreign interests that from the information he had available to him, he wanted to investigate the possibility of foreign involvement. And he was shut down by the FBI, and he resigned over this. So that's just one of the reasons he resigned. So he has since, in the last 11 months, been speaking about his testimony about how suspicious everything looks and how this doesn't seem to match, in his opinion, a lone shooter, nor in many other people's opinions. So I wanted to give people the chance tonight to actually call in and talk about this topic. It's been a hot topic. It's not going away. This trial, they just went through the plenary hearing for the prosecution to make its case, to make sure that the filing was valid, and they're going to have an actual full-fledged court case. The preliminary hearing was not the actual court case. It was just to establish if the charges are valid or not. And so that's a lot of people don't realize the legal difference, apparently. And so the defense has not yet presented its defense, and the prosecution has not yet presented its full accusation and whatever evidence it has to lend into their prosecution. I want to give you guys a chance to talk about this tonight with an open panel. So the link is in the video description. It's also in the live chat, and it's pinned, so you guys can call in. And if you have thoughts on this, we can look at a few concepts that talk about, the accusation of who this shooter is, what he was doing between supposedly taking the shot to turn himself into custody. Was it actually a bullet that killed him? Was it something else? There's an exploding microphone theory. There's electrocution microphone theory. Either way, I'm not electrocution microphone, but electrocution platform and chair theory, because of the way his body tensed up. But the medical examiner decided that his vertebrae was actually severed. So they don't know how his body continued to be tensed up until it fell over, if the initial point of impact severed his spinal column and his vertebrae. So there's a lot here to discuss and talk about. You guys are welcome to use that link in the live chat, use the link in the video description, and we can talk about different forms of evidence that's been out there. That's some of it's been brought up by independent journalists and citizen investigators. Some of it's been ignored. by those who think it's just Tyler Robinson and that's it. Um, and other people are putting forth the case that Tyler Robinson's already confessed through text messages. That's part of the federal narrative, is they received Discord messages as well as text messages. There's a discrepancy on the overlap on whether he was actually in custody when those were taken or not. Did he even have his phone on him when those were actually being typed? So there's a lot of questions that are out there that, how do I say this? The federal government, or excuse me, the Utah investigative teams, both the local police and what's called the State Bureau of Investigation, Utah, the SBI, they're not coming forward with any type of public declaration to state the evidence they have before the trial. And so this is typical, though. They're not going to. They're not trying to fight a battle in the court of public opinion before they actually have the trial, because they don't want to give away what potential evidence they may have. So that's to be expected. But some people think because certain things have been overlooked and not included in the discussion, that there's a conspiracy involved as far as cover up, U.S. Marshals, SBI, FBI, even as to the top of the FBI with Kash Patel and how he's handled this and spoke about it. And so there's a lot to discuss here. I doubt we'll talk about all points tonight, but I want to give people the chance to call in. All right, so it looks like we got some people already calling in here in the background. All right, welcome. Yeah, welcome, brother.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, good to see you.
You too, man. It's been a while.
Welcome. Yeah, man. Glad you called in. Let me just straighten up our cameras here. Okay, welcome in. Yeah, so you've been checking out this for the last 11 months? This case, the Charlie Robinson
yeah,
case?
I've been following it somewhat. I think it's an interesting subject. I'm definitely here to learn. I'm not here to be contentious. Like, I have opinions, and I think, I'm happy to look into the evidence. So yeah, I guess one thing for me is, of course, there was that recent Candace debate with Andrew Wilson, and the debate is it's kind of its own thing, right? There's the situation of Charlie Kirk's death and what we think about that and the evidence and all that, and then there's the debate. So, like, both of those are interesting subjects to me. Obviously, I should say here at the outset that the reason that I'm interested to talk about this is because I think it's important, right? Obviously, a man was murdered. So someone murdered him, someone's whatever, and they need to be held accountable. So it'd be great if we could trust the legal system to do so. Let's hope that they do. But in any case, that's why I care. Obviously, I think, Charlie Kirk, aside from being a man, was an important figure in American culture and had a lot of good things to say. He wasn't a perfect man, but his murder needs to be avenged. That's why I care about it.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw, man, I don't believe the narratives that are floating around that he's still alive, that it was all an act, that he's gone to some secret island where they take all the psyops and just let them live out the rest of their days in anonymity. I don't buy that. I think they actually do take people out who are not, whether it's someone that's a zealot who has, a lunatic murderous passion to kill someone that they disagree with, which is the accusation against Tyler Robinson, or whether it is an actual government operation because this particular political figure was about to get in the way of a lot of big plans because of his public statements. So I think all of it should be addressed. There's a lot to consider because Charlie Kirk was not just a normal person. This guy had freedom of access to the White House. Mm-hmm. This guy's being sent as an emissary to Greenland on behalf of the current administration. Like, this wasn't just anybody, right? So this is a guy who supposedly literally has personal correspondence with foreign leaders of other nations, like the the leader of Israel right now, Bibi Netanyahu, like personal correspondence with him about giving him advice on his optics politically and whether they're good or bad, right? So this isn't just a normal person, right?
It is really amazing how Charlie Kirk hustled politically. Mm-hmm. I mean, like it is really amazing how he went basically in 10 years from, basically a nobody to a person involved in the Trump administration and having contact with foreign leaders. Yeah, it is amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Well, I think is there anything that you wanted to give? What were your thoughts on this debate that just happened?
Yeah, man, I don't think it was useful to really anybody. Like, I don't think if you were a Candace fan, generally speaking, or if you think that the case is fishy, suspicious, if you got conspiracy theories going on here. By the way, when I say conspiracy theory, side note, I don't mean wrong. I just mean you think that there's a conspiracy afoot. So I don't think that the people who are on that side of this discussion were served well by that debate. And I also don't think that people who are generally speaking, convinced that Tyler Robinson is guilty on Andrew's side of the debate were served well. And I don't think people who are seeking the truth of the matter were served well. It was really just a wash, in my opinion. It was not a good debate. I don't think either of them did well.
Yeah, I told my wife something I've told her before, but my observation of this is going to be a very, very niche observation. Okay, I don't believe this to be well received. Nobody's going to make a YouTube video about how stellar of a novel observation this was. I think that Candace Owens has put a lot forward, but I think the thing that trips her up and causes her so much criticism is that she is super intelligent, and I think the way that she talks, her speech patterns, is hard to follow by the average person, because she has so many interjections. It's like reading a written work from an advanced literary writer from the 1800s, right? Where it's just like each sentence is like a paragraph, because there's so many interjections and what she's trying to say. Instead of just spitting out some simple sentences and then providing your filler, then providing your supporting sentences and or arguments, she mingles them in the way her speech pattern, she mingles them in. And I think a lot of people struggle to really follow what she's saying and remember the points she's making in between all these interjections that she has. And it does her a huge disservice personally. So I think but I think the points that she does raise, if you slow it down and listen very closely, or sometimes rewind it and look at what did she say in there? She said a whole lot. She made some snarky jokes. She did some other things. And what she say though, what's she actually presenting? I think when you slow it down, for the people that have actually followed this for the last 11 months, she has made some very interesting points that are huge discrepancies, not only in the timeline for the accusation against this Tyler Robinson character, but also with, just the pointing out some of the behaviors of Charlie's work companions, the TPOSA people that were there at the scene of the crime. Have you seen the videos?
I've seen. Yeah, I mean, I've seen some. I haven't followed this religiously. So I'll be again. Like
I'm guessing you've seen the actual moment that he died.
Yes.
We'll call it, since there's theories about whether it's a gunshot or an exploding mic, I just want to call it the moment of impact.
Sure. Well, before we get into like the evidence and all that, I would like to comment on what you were saying about the debate.
Sure, go ahead.
If that's okay.
Okay.
Because again, there's a difference between the debate and the evidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I've watched the debate twice, and this is not supposed to be a debate review. This is supposed to be discussing the evidence. So I'm going to be brief about this. But I've watched the debate twice. Generally speaking, coming from my position, I was not impressed with Candace. I'm going to be really honest about that. I'm not impressed with the point she advances. I'm not impressed with her disposition. I think she essentially failed in the sense of proving an alternative theory, justifying an alternative theory. Poking holes, questioning, the state's case is one thing, but advancing something else is another thing. So that's my general takeaway. I don't think Andrew did a great job either. Okay, don't get me wrong.
Supposedly there was a contract. I haven't seen the details of the contract. I don't think any one of them's published the details of it. Supposedly, but what I could glean from the debate itself is they were both given 90 minutes to either state their points or cross-examine one another. It didn't seem to be very clear because their opening, I agree with you. I told my wife this as well, that I don't think she pressed some of the more significant points. She did make them, but she made them very quickly. Again, amidst all this filler. And I think it was a weird decision to host it at her home. I don't know if it was because she had security concerns.
Well, it's because she's pregnant.
Yeah, I hear that, but bro,
I mean, that's what she said.
I know that's what she said. I know. I just saying, like, I still think it's a weird decision because then she was put in a very weird defensive mode, that she's got these men coming into her home that then she realizes part of them are part of Steven Crowder's crew, whom she has like absolute ongoing beef with, and Steven Crowder's constantly demonize her in his social media efforts. So they would have, if she had known that beforehand, she clearly not would have been welcoming those men into her house. So Andrew didn't disclose that, brought some men that had open enmity towards her into her house. So she's already on this weird defensive kick. And I'm just sitting there going, why not just like it, clearly you have security. They talked about she has security. So like, why not just have another place where everyone's more comfortable and you don't think that your home and privacy is being invaded and all that stuff. So I thought that was a weirdness that unnecessarily put her mindset on a defensive tone.
And they
Obviously,
didn't even follow. So they,
yeah,
like they didn't
yeah,
even do what was intended. Like it was
right,
just a terrible debate. Everything about it was
right.
terrible. The moderation was terrible.
I agree with
Both
that for sure. The
both of them.
moderation.
Yeah, it just like what was the point of that? Like I know I
It was
feel like
a debacle. It was a spectacle. She was doing a hustle, by the way. She was getting 300,000.
I can't believe that. That's honestly one thing that I'm very disgusted with. And let's just put that on the table. I watched her show after the debate, and she was making jokes about how much money she got paid within seconds of the debate. I mean, I'm like, what are you doing, woman? Are you serious? I cannot believe it. This is the person who's supposedly like, I'm on the quest for truth and justice for Charlie, my best friend, but also joke about
You don't believe she is?
how much money I make out of a debate, please.
Well, one thing I do want to say for anyone that comes on the panel tonight, including you, Trey, this isn't intended to be about Candace Owens' defense of her or accusations against her behaviors. You may not like her. I don't like the way Andrew behaved. I don't like the way the moderation behaved. But I don't want this to be all about Candace Owens. That seems to be what this always devolves into.
No, we're just talking about
instead of just ignoring. Well, within that parameter, she felt like her time was worth what they offered. Sure. So it's a personal opinion on whether you think it was good character or not. But either way, I think that the moderation was just ridiculous because
I agree.
No one kept them on the points of like, hey, people aren't here to watch you guys do a meta narrative debate, which is you just said this, no, it didn't. You just said that, no, it didn't. You just said that. Like that's a meta narrative debate, right? You're already debating about the debate before it's even over. It's like no, stop. Let's get back to the points. What are we actually talking about?
Right.
You think he's set up as a patsy? Okay, present your evidence or what you think is evidence. He finds that evidence not to be evidence. Let him find a justification for how he doesn't think it's evidence, and then vice versa. You think the evidence that he agrees with the state is valid evidence. Okay, then give your understanding of why that's not valid evidence. And so
much of the debate was wasted time in the meta. You're right.
Right.
And that's what a moderator's for. And he basically didn't do any of it. I chuckled at a certain point. I don't remember when it was. I don't even remember what was the topic at the time, but he's basically silent for an hour. And then he just starts peppering Candace with a bunch of, it was about the French Foreign Legion thing, peppering her with questions about the process. And I'm like, now you have something to say, bro. Anyway.
Yeah, that's a weird one because she is in a position because she knew Charlie Kirk, because she used to be a part of TPS. She has an intimate history with that organization and all of their political connections, which does overlap into law enforcement within the government. So when someone like her, again, this is not Candace Owens, but when someone like her who has that history says, I have a source within the government that has told me this information that the French Foreign Legion were on the ground on that day, and I submitted this evidence to Homeland Security, Tulsi Gabbard, and nothing, that they didn't even call me back to get the information. So she said she made an email to them to say, hey, I have information for you from a credible source about this foreign involvement. Mm-hmm. I'm talking to Department of Homeland Security. I need you guys to come and I'll give you the information when you call me back. And they never called her back. So that's weird because again, she's not just the average Joe Schmo. She is someone that is connected with all these people. And so I guess my criticism of that exchange was I felt like it was bad faith for Andrew to say to someone that does have those connections and absolutely does have sources within those law enforcement agencies from her history, from her current life and who she is, to say, oh, well, that's a crazy conspiracy theory when she's saying I'm a journalist who has a source, you know what I mean? Yeah. Which is how journalists work usually. So yeah, it's just kind of weird. I felt it wasn't productive ultimately because really
Agreed.
I would have liked to talk about how little things, right? Like how does someone have you seen the video where the supposed perp runs across the roof, lays down, shot, supposedly a shot's taken, he gets up and runs away real quick. Mm-hmm. You ever fired a rifle?
Yeah.
Okay. Ever fired a AR long rifle of any kind?
Yeah, I'm in the Army.
Okay. Okay. Well, you never know what job you have and what
It's true.
exactly what you're a part of. But so what's your thoughts on that video? The time not sighting in, the distance of the shot, all the factors, him running, did it look like he's running with a rifle? What were your thoughts from the video, from the very blurry video that's publicly
Yeah.
available?
Well, it's been a while, and if you have it ready to go, like, are you able to, as we talk about evidence, just actually pull it up and let's talk about it, or no?
I can try. Hang on 1 second.
No pressure, but because as we discuss particular pieces of evidence, it would be helpful if we could. I didn't come
Mhm.
prepared to do that, but I just wondered if you had. And no, again, no pressure. But it has been a while since I've seen that video. I've seen several videos. I mean, the one that Candace released fairly recently with the kind of sort of, sideways crawl and all that. Yeah, I mean, just generally speaking, as someone who not only, has shot weapons many times in the Army, but also outside of the Army, I don't think that this shot is some super feat. like,
Oh no, no, the
I,
distance isn't the issue. That's not the issue. It's just
yeah,
about my question is, as someone that has shot rifles
yeah.
and has a very mediocre familiarity with firearms. Wow, why is
Yeah.
it doing that? I'm just confused on how someone makes a shot with such accuracy without sighting in.
Well, when you say without sighting in, I mean, all that sighting in requires is you put it under your shoulder and you look down the sights and pull a trigger. Like, that doesn't take
Oh,
much.
so you're thinking, but he has a scope though. That's the whole point, is that he has scope on there.
Okay.
You have to sight in the scope usually, right?
Well, oh, you're saying like he doesn't adjust it. I mean, he could have planned the adjustment for the distance though. Like,
Okay,
you don't have to.
perfect.
You don't have
He
to do
could
it
have.
on the spot.
He could have. So therefore, I wonder if I'm curious because no one's ever mentioned it.
Yeah.
No police chief who gave press conferences about this. SBI hasn't said anything publicly about this. No one has ever said, "Oh, by the way, University's Valley of Utah or whatever that campus is, UVU has 4K cameras all over the place, and we have the cameras from the previous days and even weeks of camera footage where this guy went up and scouted out his position and was clearly on the roof, laying down, sighting in, and taking measurements and being prepared to do this within 90 seconds."
You're saying, just to clarify your point, you're saying the evidence has not been presented of this person scouting out before what we now see on the video.
There's no. So do you? Again, you said you admitted that you haven't quite followed this as much.
No, certainly not.
So
I've seen basically what everybody's seen, but I haven't followed
Yeah.
the case religiously. I haven't,
So
debated it religiously.
the announcement was made for them to. They had set up this UVU TPUSA event months ahead of time, but they had not announced where on the campus it was going to be held until the day before.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you're good or not with a rifle, and supposedly this guy doesn't have any previous training with a rifle, but
yeah,
good
his
or not-
family, I forget who, but I remember it being reported in the in official documents. His family said he's not that good of a shot. Like, he's not. I
Yeah,
don't
he
remember the
doesn't-
exact verbiage.
Yeah, he doesn't go
something
out and
like
train
that.
with a rifle. He's a
Right.
22-year-old kid going to college, and he's not spending his weekends going out and training with a rifle. So, but basically, what I'm saying is, if he only has 24 hours to figure out placement for the shot, and then make sure this conditions are right, because when they got there, when the TPS Charlie Kirk pulled up to the event, which was already prepped ahead of time, and he pulls up behind that bridge overwalk area, and then they come under the bridge and get on the stage. From that point to the point where he was unalived, 17 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So the story is that Tyler Arbison drove across the state to this campus because he doesn't live there. So he drove like 3.5 hours to the campus, supposedly got there, had time to walk around, or let's just say a person who got there, who drove that distance, had time to walk around, get some Chick-fil-A, then walk up to this thing and change clothes on the roof, which they should have the cameras for that, where he changed, because he had like supposedly the clothes that he's walking up the stairwell to get to the roof is different from the clothes he actually has on once he's on the roof.
Mm-hmm.
So then he has, by the time you see him in that video getting to the roof, he has like 90 seconds where he lateral crawls, which is an army technique they're taught.
Yeah.
Not the best lateral crawl, but still he's doing it.
Yeah, I remember seeing when this first came out and people acting like it was some grand thing. I'm just thinking to myself, like, guys, what are you talking about? This is like just squat and walk sideways. It's not some crazy thing.
Yeah, but he is doing a specific technique, is he not?
No, it's not like some particularly specific, like you have to be trained to do this. Like he's just down and crawling to not be seen by the people. It's pretty obvious.
Is a lateral crawl something that's taught in the military?
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I went to basic training, and I've never been in combat, so I'll be honest about that. But yeah, you're trained various movement techniques.
Yeah,
but you don't have to be like trained to do that thing. My point is, it is not some. It does not indicate that this has to be some kind of trained sniper.
Oh no, I don't think it has to be. It's not a far shot. It's not a far shot. No, but so watching this video now, what do you think? Do you think he's running with a rifle?
Well, the movement, if he's holding a rifle at that point in time, that would actually help explain why he's moving in the way he is.
Here he is. Do you see a 4-foot rifle on his person?
It's so grainy and hard to see. When he jumped right there just a minute ago, you could almost perhaps make out the end of a rifle on his left. It's so grainy you can't tell.
So after this footage was shown in the preliminary trial, there were high-profile YouTube influencers and content creators that came out of the trial. These are personal guests of Erica Kirk. They came out of that preliminary trial where some of this footage was displayed. This footage here, this grainy footage was displayed. And they said, oh, it's 100% Tyler Robinson.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, that I totally agree with the criticism that various video evidence that we have, as if it's just obvious that it's Tyler. That's crazy. That is crazy. It's all the evidence combined that has to be brought into account. You can't just go, this video. And I think what's his name? What's his boyfriend's name? I forget. Something.
Lance Twiggs.
Lance Twiggs. Thank you. When he saw the video, his response was basically, yeah, it looks like it could be Tyler. Like he dresses like that, you know? So I don't think that any video I've seen is conclusive. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think the testimony from Lance is that he's just straight saying it's preliminary trial. Okay, that's a whole nother conversation, by the way. So the Lance Twiggs testimony was a Zoom call that was pre-recorded. Are you aware of that?
So I wasn't aware that it was pre-recorded. I was aware that it was a Zoom call. Yes.
So, or I thought it was pre-recorded. I thought they were talking about it being actually pre-recorded because there was these weird pauses. But you're right. It would make sense to me that it's pre-recorded if they're trying to ask him live questions. But apparently they had already, like the questions were already known what they were going to ask him. But it seems to me that he didn't recognize him on 3 out of 4 pictures. And then in the 4th picture, they said, oh yeah, that's him. And so that was where his testimony seemed strange. He also didn't seem like a trans person either.
That's not what I heard, actually. And this might be good to kind of fact check here while we're talking about it. What I heard is Lance said that he saw the video evidence and he was asked, you know, does that look like Tyler essentially? And he said it could be. It looks similar. He wears similar clothes. Like that's similar to how he dresses. He didn't give a yes, it is absolutely. That's what I heard.
Okay.
So, which was one of the things that Candace has been emphasizing, and I think that even might have come up during the debate. I don't remember for sure, but anyway, what was your?
Well, I was just saying it's just weird to me that why didn't they just bring him into the court for testimony? Why Zoom call?
Yeah, who knows?
It just seems really weird to me. He's not under suspicion of being an accomplice. He's not being charged with anything. The investigation by the federal authorities is over. And by the SBI of Utah, it's over. Like they're not investigating anybody else. So they're not even so to our knowledge, they're not even investigating other correspondence between, other besides the Discord message, which came in on the 11th, the day after.
Mm-hmm.
So besides that Discord information, like I don't, and these text messages that don't have timestamps on them, they're not telling us, oh, we investigated Lance Twiggs and Tyler Robinson's cell phone communication for the past 2 or 3 months and saw all this conversation about them planning this. You know what I mean? So what do you think about that? Because they did about 2 weeks after the impact of Charlie Kirk, the authorities said, oh, we have these text messages where he's just outright confessing, but there's no timestamps on them. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't see any reason to dispute the text messages at the moment. I think, your point there about the timestamps. Could we pull that up? Actually, I'll look for it as well. Could we, is there a way for us to actually just pull up the way that the evidence looks when it comes to the text messages?
Yeah,
because I've seen reporting about them, but it's been a while since I actually saw the photos of them.
Yeah, so this is what's been submitted to the public and is what they say is transcribed onto this paper.
Well, that's the thing is I don't, it's been so long since I've seen the first reporting about this. I think all we have is transcripts, right? We don't actually have images of the initial texts.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody does. That's the problem. So
Yeah.
it's just a piece of paper that was prepared by the feds and saying, oh, these, but they did not include the dates and timestamps in these. It's just this correspondence that's been submitted that we're supposed to believe. Now the part I struggle with is supposedly saying, like, even in the discussion itself,
the actual like coherence of the texts.
Yeah, he says like, oh, I thought I was going to take it to my grave, but oh, here, let me just go ahead and admit everything in text right now. It just seems weird. It just seems weird to me.
I get that. I just think, I mean, why do we need to assume he was like the smartest tool in the drawer? I guess like. So
that is the report about him, by the way, is that he's an honor student. He's extremely intelligent.
Sure. Well, I mean, you can be intelligent and still be very stupid about the choices you make.
I was as a young man. Yes.
What I mean to say there is just like, I mean, clearly he had some kind of relationship with Lance Twiggs to some degree. I mean, it's reported that they were, gay lovers or whatever, but they had some kind of relationship. Who's to say this isn't just him, speaking to this person who's important in his life, right? Why is that necessarily implausible? I don't see why it's necessarily implausible.
It would be nice to verify with the cell phone companies, the date and the time markers for these supposed correspondence.
I look, this has to come up during the trial. Okay, yeah. This has to come up during the trial. And one thing that to me is significant with regard to what's happened so far is that Tyler's defense team, his lawyers, have not disputed the things that have been brought forward yet. Basically,
they can't. That's not what the preliminary trial is for.
Well, I understand that the point of the preliminary trial is to discern which evidence will be brought to trial.
No, it's also to make sure that the filings of the actual charges are legitimate, so that there's an actual reason to have a case. But once the prosecution has been given validation for its accusations, then they go to a real trial.
But here's my point, Sean. If there was reason that the defense team was aware of to discredit evidence being brought by the prosecution, they would absolutely try to have it not allowed to go to trial.
They already do. That's called dismissals, and they already filed for dismissals of certain accusations made at the preliminary hearing. But again, it's only based upon the actual 7 specific charges that they even are accusing him of anyway, and the corresponding evidence related to those charges.
My point is this, and I'm not a lawyer, okay? I'm happy to be corrected here, but it seems to me that the defense team would absolutely try to have these text messages not admitted if they had reason to believe that they weren't real. So why aren't they saying that? Why is Candace the only one saying this?
She's not. Again, it's not about Candace. I don't want this to devolve into about Candace. There's so
No,
many
no, no.
other people that are coming up, and there's lawyers that have been following this case for 11 months, and they're
Yeah.
also talking about the huge, massive procedural issues and problems that have gone on with this case, as well as the preliminary hearing and the trial. They're breaking down every facet of it, and some of them that I've watched that are lawyers, not Candace, have explicitly said all the things that you're referencing will come out in the actual trial.
Yeah, well, I'm eager to see it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm eager to see what this.
Are you
trial
outside right
actually
now? Or is there a
turns into.
big fan blowing you?
Can you hear that?
Oh, I
No,
see
I'm
your
in my-
shirt. I see your shirt ruffling.
I'm
It
in
looks
my
like-
I'm in my house. It's just windy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't know because I know you're in Hawaii, right? So I didn't know maybe you're on your
Yeah.
patio or something.
No,
sitting
no,
there
it's
staring at the
just
ocean.
windy.
Okay, so yeah,
Well, I would like to, if there's a way, I would love to get clarity on this point, because I'm not a lawyer. I just don't understand why at this point nobody on the defense team would have raised that as a concern before we even get to trial. Like, why not? I don't understand why not. If you had a
Because,
reason to
again-
believe it wasn't real.
again, because the preliminary hearing you're allowed hearsay within the preliminary hearing. You're allowed for the prosecution can
It
just
has to be reliable, though. It can't just be anything.
No, it doesn't. That's the point. That's what the lawyers have been saying, that they're trying to explain to the mass public who's asking the same questions you are and I am. They're saying, no, wait a minute, that's not how preliminary hearings work. The prosecution can bring forth hearsay and doesn't have to be substantiated. And as long as the judge finds it applicable and somewhat valid, he will allow it.
Right.
And it's
but
not
that's
a
the
place for the defense to negate it. It's because they're just trying to establish, because, hearsay can be validated later, but that's the point of, is it a coherent case? And is it, if they're charging with 7 different felonies, do they have admissible, yes, hearsay also, but admissible claims and accusations that match the charges? That's what the preliminary is about.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I guess then we're just left with the trial, and let's see. I mean, what would you think? Let me ask you this, Sean. What would you think if we go to trial and the defense does not employ any of these things that Candace and others in the internet sphere have been employing?
Well, that's the problem. They're not so far.
Let's say we go to trial. Trial, and the defense says absolutely nothing to dispute the authenticity of these texts. What would you think?
That you got a bad defense team, that's for sure.
Well, all I'm saying is, like, this is
because, again, how can you accept it if you can't corroborate it with their devices and with the cell towers, the company of use, and if you just the feds just submitted a piece of paper that has a perfectly outlined explanatory, not even the way Tyler talks and other correspondence, perfectly outlined descriptor of how he did it and why he's confessing, and it just seems weird. It just seems weird.
I mean, I get the sense of, like, it seems weird. I think there's plausible explanations. I'm not as weirded out by it. But at the end of the day, here's the problem: is we have to wait until this all goes to trial before we can actually discern what is and isn't being said.
No, I hear that. We're not trying Tyler Robinson tonight. I just want to discuss the evidence, and like you're asking, Trey, some of this evidence may not be brought forward by either side, but yet it is evidence. For example, hey, Codex, welcome. Good to see you, brother. Hey, your mic is super low, so I don't know if it's turned on or.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. I'm just saying it's super low, so
Okay.
I don't know if you wanted to get closer to it or turn up the
Okay.
volume. Let me see if I can turn it up in backstage real quick.
Okay.
Try it now. Try to say something now.
Hello?
Yeah, it's a little better. Okay.
Okay, cool.
I just want to make sure you're heard if you want to bring forth something. So,
Yeah, no,
Codex, what's your thoughts on this so far?
Okay. On the guy on the roof, this is what bothered me. I hope everyone can hear me well. What bothered me is the guy on the roof, right, that supposedly had the weapon and took the shot, and then he jumps off the roof, and I'm questioning where's the weapon, because after that supposedly he hides it in some bushes somewhere, and I didn't understand where was the weapon when he jumped off the roof.
Yeah.
And also the one you just showed right there. Also, sorry.
Yeah, when I see him jump up, I'm like, bro, I need to try to find the other one. I'm just saying.
No,
Look,
yeah, this
I
was a
don't.
good
I don't
one,
think
too.
he's picking up a rifle when he jumps up right here. That's just way too quick.
Oh, no. And I don't even
And-
see the kickback from the rifle. That's one thing that bothered me too. There should be some kickback, right?
Maybe. Let me see if I can find a better reel for that real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely 30-06 is a powerful round. I've heard other people try to say, well, maybe he just packed it lighter. Maybe it was a specially packed bullet, and he just go ahead, Trey.
Let me just give a plug here. So I actually used to work in the security industry doing installing video surveillance systems for schools and government and all that. My dad still does that. And good Lord, these places need to get some better systems. This is crazy.
Right.
Like these are so
Yeah.
grainy. If these are real videos, that university should be ashamed. They need to
Oh.
go out there and get better videos.
Yeah. Speaking of, I found this a long time ago. I'm gonna put this on screen. This was an actual independent news organization in Salt Lake City, and this was uploaded on September 11th. So a day after, while they're still looking for the guy, right, or whom they think they found as the guy, while they're still looking to apprehend somebody, Salt Lake City Fox affiliate was putting this out saying, stop using these AI images that the far left is the real one, and it's so grainy. These other ones are not real. So that second
Right.
image on the left is the one you see the most.
I saw it posted when like the next
True.
week or so. I saw them posted, and then it was fact checked and shown to be AI generated. Which why would that happen? By the way, think about
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Who's doing that?
Yes.
That's not cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, on the left,
And by the
there,
way, and even so, the AI generated image, the ear and the top lip doesn't match
doesn't look like
Tyler Robinson at all.
The real one looks more like Tyler Robinson. Let's just be honest about that.
Oh, let's say it looks like him. It looks grainy.
I
All
don't
I
know
see
about
It's
is
grainy, but
pixels.
I don't know about
All I
that.
see.
Look, here's the
It's
deal.
hard to tell.
Some people's argument is that it's not him. Some people's argument that he is the shooter is him. Some people's argument is that, well, he's a patsy. He was just told to be in that position, and so he could be the fall guy. Other people's argument is that he was told to be in that position as the fall guy, not knowing he was going to be called the fall guy later or the patsy later. And it was an exploding microphone and wasn't even taking a shot anyway. That the method of death wasn't even a rifle anyway. That's the 4 different levels of argument we're dealing with this whole thing.
yeah.
I've
It's
heard
not-
that one too.
It's not cut and dry.
You think that looks like? I just curious. That photo there. You just think that just doesn't look like Tyler Robinson at all?
No.
The first one,
That first
Yeah,
one, no.
the real one. No,
No.
I can barely tell.
No.
I mean
It's
it's
so-
Hard to
great.
tell any facial features. It's
Why
hard
do
to
you
tell
think-
any facial features.
Okay.
That's a better response codex. That's what I mean when I say no. Is like it's too indiscernible.
No, I grant
Yeah.
that it's not a great photo. It's not conclusive. Nobody's going to go to court with this, and that's a slam dunk. Absolutely not. There needs to be other evidence that comes to bear to suggest that that could be Tyler Robinson. It's not like it's weighed out by the photo or the video. It's not like it's obviously not Tyler Robinson.
His boyfriend
other-
couldn't tell either way. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's his boyfriend or not, but
Yeah.
I doubt it because that guy he seems like a he don't seem like a furry to me. But
Yeah, well,
he didn't-
during his testimony, he seemed pretty heterosexual to me, man.
Yeah,
Like
man.
it made me question my own gaydar at that point. I was like, wait a minute,
You'd
Is
be
this dude-
surprised.
is this dude a
For
fairy
real,
or not?
man.
What's going on here?
Yeah, I felt the same way. I was confused at that point. I'm like,
It
this
was
guy?
very
No.
odd, very odd. Supposedly, let's just stick with more easily discernible discussion here. The idea that since we're talking about the guy on the roof taking the shot, I found an interesting analysis from somebody that actually snuck is probably the bad word, but as an independent journalist went out to UVU, got up on the same roof, and said that the official photos from SBI or from the FBI, where they say, "Oh, here's his body imprint in the roof where he laid down," they said that that's impossible because the roof is actually made of a solid rock that doesn't move. It's not just loose gravel. And I'll show you that video. So this is going to be something that might discredit the official narrative, and then I'm going to show a rifle analysis from 2 guys that will support the official narrative. Okay, so I'm not trying to be biased here.
Yeah.
So let's go to this real quick.
I just have
Because
to
I-
chuckle real quick about one of your mods says, "Look, the real video looks more like the guest with the glasses than Tyler Robinson." What are you trying to say there? And by the way, that's crazy.
That's hilarious. All right, let me see if I can find this real quick. I have so many notes about this. While I find this, what do you guys think about the older guy named George Zinn who stood up immediately when the point of impact hit Charlie, and the guy stood up and his pants fell down and he's like, "I did it! Shoot me! I'm the one who did it." What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, it's weird.
It's,
I mean,
it's been said that he was supposed. I heard allegedly that he was at other like events of this magnitude. I would say the Boston bombings. I'm not sure. Have you guys heard of that?
I've heard that claim. Yeah.
I'm not sure of the veracity of it, but I've heard that he was supposedly there or something as well, which is kind of weird.
So why would an older man just suddenly stand up and say, "Hey"? I mean, does that not feel weird to you guys?
He said he got paid, didn't he? He said he got paid to say it.
So trying to find that
Yeah.
on the record has been difficult.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be fair about this.
Yeah.
There's also report from the other hospital in town. So there's two hospitals in that town. Charlie was taken to one called Timpanogos, and there was the UVU hospital, which apparently was closer. And apparently they took George Zinn to the UVU hospital because he got roughed up when he was apprehended. And supposedly while he was there, he said, "I got paid. They haven't paid me yet. What's going on?" Like, and he was explaining that they asked him, "Why'd you do that? Why'd you claim this if you weren't the person responsible?" And he said it was part of the plan, or it was part of my plan, or whatever. And you're like, how did you come up with that plan within seconds of impact? Like, what?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense. So Trey, what do you think about that? Because that's where people will say, okay, well, clearly there's more than one person involved. If some random old guy who has no known association with Tyler Robinson, who's the suspected criminal, why is he saying it's a part of a plan for him to draw the attention of the authorities away at the moment of impact so that the perpetrator can escape?
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. I don't really have any problems believing that Tyler Robinson did not act alone. It comes down to evaluating the evidence.
This is the claim. Hey, what's going on, doctor? He's in the crowd. He's claiming this was why this guy did it, was to cement the narrative of a shot being taken as opposed to exploding microphone. It's a theory.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, I know it's a theory, but the thing that to me just doesn't make any sense of that theory is that a lot of the crowd does turn in the direction of where the shot ostensibly would have been fired from. So they heard something that made them turn back.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, I don't buy it for that reason. Now, as far as the guy goes, maybe he's involved. I don't know. I'm not saying that whoever was on the roof, whether it was Tyler Robinson or not, was the only one who did it. That was involved.
Yeah. Well,
it is weird for sure.
It is weird being in an amphitheater like that. Recording the sound from the event in the amphitheater is very different than actually being there with your own natural ears, hearing potential source of ricocheted sound within that. And that's the point of the amphitheater, right? Is so that the sound envelops. So yeah, I would have to be there to really know. Some people were saying that were standing below the Losi Center. They were interviewed right afterwards, and they said, "Oh, it seemed like the shot came from where they were standing in this easement way below the Losi Center, because apparently it's like multi-level amphitheater and all this stuff." So, but let's take a look at this real quick because this is interesting. I don't want to do all the footage or all the noise, all the sound, but the top video is a guy that snuck onto the actual Losi Center to lay down at the point of the angle of attack. He's looking at the metal edge guard lip, or she is, I should say, because they've already calculated it would have to be a 9-degree angle that he would have had to take the shot laying up there. But the bigger issue is that the actual you can't. It's hard to see it, but the actual stone that lines this thing, this is not just loose gravel. There's no footprints. The person that's walking up there, there's no footprints. When they laid down to kind of put their hand that you just saw up on the edge guard, when they got up, there was no body print from them laying down. It's not loose gravel. So what do we do with the official picture where the feds claimed, oh, here's his body print on the roof?
Yeah, I mean, did they claim that it was body print in like loose gravel?
Yeah, let me show you
specifically,
because the point is, like, the gravel, it's not gravel, it's actual rock that's a part of the roof that doesn't move. Yeah. So let me see if I can find this. I have to use Tyler Robinson because everything's associated with him on Google.
Right. I will say, side note, like, just I already said it earlier, but we can kind of go through all this and speculate and think and have our opinions and all that. But I'm very eager to see how this trial goes.
Well, sure.
I'm very.
This will be, regardless of what happens in the trial. Like, I think this is going to be happening for another year at minimum, and this be very interesting to look back on and say, hey, you know what? See if I can find this picture.
My concern, though, is just the wild rate at which speculations are flowing on every point. It's like,
yeah, but
even if
that's the internet,
even if, yeah. But my point is this: even if Tyler Robinson's defense pleads guilty, there's going to be people that are just, oh, they're in it, they're in on it. Like, there's going to be like at least half these people are just going to keep spewing stuff at that point.
Yeah, I agree with you, Trey. Some people are going to already be locked into their opinion no matter what happens, right? Just like we see today, there's already people saying Charlie's still alive. No matter what's going to, no matter, it is, to me, it is a little suspicious about his burial. Hopefully we can get to that next. Let me just see if I can find this real quick. Because, there's a ton to discuss when it comes to how the procedure was handled for evidence with his family, with his body, all that kind of stuff. And this isn't the only camera. Look how crystal clear this camera is.
Yeah,
but this isn't the only. So there's other cameras that are closer. Mm-hmm. That's not in my opinion, there's no rifle in that man's hand. There's no, even broken down, that barrel's still 30 inches long. Yeah, and it doesn't fit in that backpack. That backpack just fell flat on the roof as he leaned down.
Did you see that? Go back.
Yes.
I said earlier.
Yeah, I saw that, Trey. Yeah, people think that's the moment where you see an elongated, pointed rifle.
I mean, it is. It's an elongated something. What is the thing? That's the question.
It's not 30 inches long.
It's the backpack. It's the backpack when he.
I know it is.
Isn't it the backpack?
So you're telling me, you saw the video just a minute ago. You're telling me he had the opportunity to disassemble that rifle in the half a second before he got up to run?
It's impossible, I think.
Oh, hang on a second. Let's watch, because I can, even now I'm seeing something that's on his left there. It's kind of hard. It's kind of.
He's
small,
not.
I think he's just holding the backpack. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be walking down the street with a rifle in his hand.
Yeah, he would have to have it concealed in some way, and that's the. Well, isn't the official narrative that he covered it with a towel or something like that?
Right. So.
But
is it a backpack or is it a towel in his hand?
Yeah. It's hard to say.
You just saw the video. We watched it play over and over and over, where he laid down. Supposedly the shot was taken and he popped right up and ran. Do you think that it's plausible to disassemble, even just if it's one screw or one bolt? Do you think it's plausible to disassemble a working rifle in that short of time and pop up and run?
Are we talking about the video of when he got up after the shot occurred? He got up and started running across, or the video where he was hopping off the edge?
The one we just saw, where the grainy one, where he was laying down and he popped up and ran.
Yeah. It's hard to say. I don't know enough about 30-06s, because that's what they say was shot.
It's a Mauser. I think it was a Mauser.
I don't.
So here he is. Shots taken. Yeah. Supposedly the shot's taken about right now. Right here. Boom.
We'll kick back. don't see nothing.
Maybe he's just super strong and there's no kickback. And then I
Maybe.
didn't see him fiddling with anything. It's just so grainy, it's hard to tell. But I didn't see him disassembling the rifle. And I definitely don't see him running with it.
Yeah, or jumping off with it.
Because I don't see him putting it in a bag. I don't see him. So if he did disassemble it and he's got a barrel and he's got a stock, I don't see him putting them in a bag.
Back up to where he jumps. Like right a little bit further back. Or is this did it just loop? Hang on. Okay, pause it right. Ah, come on.
Does he have a jacket on there?
There,
Has like
right
a
there,
loose
right
jacket,
there.
Right?
You see that? There is a little, you can see the tip of something that's pointed on his left, right there.
You sure?
He's
Right
got a
there,
jacket
right there.
on though, right?
He's got a jacket on. That's not his hand just thrown out as he's running?
It's a loose jacket. He could have something in his back because it's a loose jacket. It's hard to tell.
I would have to default to it's so grainy it's indiscernible.
It is. It's so grainy. It is not. There is no slam dunk here. We are completely at the mercy of what we've got.
When he's crawling, we should be able to see the formation of a rifle somewhere. A long rifle like that.
Miss Lenny, is your husband in the live chat tonight? Because he was an Army sniper, right? Is he in the live chat tonight to give us his opinion? Or is he working?
Such bad video, right? Quality.
Yeah, so
mix that
Tyler
with
said.
This, and it's like, bro, what are we supposed to believe here?
These are supposed to be continuous, right? So he got up, he ran, and then this is what continues.
Right.
So there's no like in between.
Yeah, so hard to say. I think it does look like he is. Yeah, right there. He's carrying something, and it could be a towel. It could be a backpack.
It's his backpack.
Very hard to say.
Across. He swings across the back. What he swings is the backpack.
It's even. I don't know. It's just hard to say. Why didn't he just go down the stairs he used to get on the roof in the first place?
Yeah.
Why is he running off the roof? Because if you look at the actual layout of that, it's a multi-level building, and there's an outer staircase that leads up to the second level of the building. You can literally go up the staircase and just hop the railing and get onto that roof he was on. Why run across the roof? Why not just get back onto that staircase and go back down and run in the grass that direction instead of having to jump off the building? I just don't understand. I don't understand. Okay, so that's that.
Yeah.
That's some of the evidence that probably will be presented.
Basically a nothing burger.
What would you guys think about when a murder happens that the governor of the state makes an emergency call within 24 hours to have the crime scene literally dug up so that pavers could come in as soon as possible? And they paved over it. They actually put pavers in, which is like, it's not actually asphalt, but it's like they put pavers in after they dug up 10 inches of soil. So the testimony from the guy who actually did the paving, it was a Sunday. The shot took place on, I believe, a Thursday. The governor's call came in on the governor, he said when he got there on a Sunday, they had already dug up 10 inches of soil for him to start working. And it wasn't, and he's the construction guy.
Yeah, that's very, I mean, at the end of the day, even if there's no conspiracy here, okay, let's just assume for the sake of argument, there is no conspiracy. That is crazy. That is crazy. To do that to a nationally, a national story where someone just died, right? It's going to be a huge storm in the media and all that, and then to just be like, first of all, the police. I mean, I assume the most charitable way to read this is that the investigators investigated the site, got all the evidence they thought they had to do, and gave the okay for it to be back to normal, quote unquote, right? And then, but even if that's the case, it's like, why in the world would you go and immediately start doing work on that site? It just
that's
foolish at the least. At the least, it's foolish. It's crazy.
How long did it take for them to start digging up and paving? Was it like
they don't? So that's the point.
Days.
Supposedly, the governor of Utah made the call that this was an emergency situation, literally the day after the event, but he couldn't get a hold of a construction company that could come do it until Sunday, which would make it day 3 or day 4, and even though the guy that did the job, he is testifying that he couldn't get hold of his team, his construction crew, because it's Sunday and they had the day off. So he went out there by himself to start. And when he got there, 10 inches has already been dug up. And he's like, Was there another crew out here? What's going on? And they're like, oh no, they already dug up all the soil and the police took it. And you're like, wait, what? So I'm a little confused. So I mixed that with my confusion on that mixes with the fact that they gave Charlie Kirk's phone back to his widow within weeks. Some people can say, okay, Sean, we got technology. They plug your phone in, download everything. They don't need the phone anymore, right? What's the point? My brother-in-law, my wife's brother, it was labeled self-harm, but there was a murder investigation for his death that they just closed out like a year and a half ago. It was an ongoing murder investigation. They had his phone. They still have his phone. They've even already officially closed the case and labeled it as self-harm, and they still have his phone.
Yeah.
And this guy's not Charlie Kirk. This guy doesn't have $100 million operation at stake here.
I think that might be part of it, though. I think that might be part of it, though. And I'm going to be honest here. I think it's very possible that authorities were essentially trying to cater to public figures. I think it's very possible. It is true that you don't need a lot of time to get data from a phone. It is very true. I know this personally, based on technology. But my point is just simply that it's very possible that the authorities involved, because they were nationally recognized public figures, were kind of doing things out of the ordinary on their behalf.
For sure. So if I'm just curious to know a couple things here. In a murder investigation, the official narrative, within 33 hours, the case was closed. They apprehended the person they said did it. They're blasting out on the news media with all outlets. And I'm sitting there going, how did they have time to actually do a legitimate investigation? They're just immediately assuming that it's just, it's a deranged left-wing liberal, and that there's no way that anybody else can be involved, right? But in normal murder investigations, the widow or the wife, the spouse, whether it's a husband or wife, is usually a huge suspect to begin with. If there's a company with any kind of finances involved, people at the company are usually suspect, and at the very least investigated. Their correspondence, was there any ill will? Did he make any enemies within his company? Were there any business dealings with anyone they were doing that he created an enemy out of? Like, these are all valid investigative means for motive. That none of that was even considered, much less investigated. So that's another procedural issue that I think is crazy to me.
So unless, and this is where the official narrative comes in, that there was some positive evidence that someone did it. That's the official narrative. Is that
is it the grainy footage?
No, it was that he actually, I forget the exact process of events. Remind me, okay?
Is it the text messages with no timestamps or?
No. Hang on.
No corroboration.
The father, his friend, and Tyler, and then the police that did the report.
That's a whole nother issue. You haven't looked into it.
Another mess.
Isn't that where the authorities, according to the narrative, got on to Tyler as the suspect?
And that conflicts with the independent interview done with the parents, saying that they did not assist in turning him in.
Yeah, allegedly someone saw the grainy footage and said that it looked like him, and then showed it to his mother. I think that's what I've heard. And then she said that's him, but there's nothing in writing by the parents saying that they knew that it was him. So that's a whole nother problem right there. The whole, like, how was he turned in? That's a whole nother issue. Nothing is clear in this case. That's the problem.
I have a question.
So there's 4 different supposed time markers for when he was taken into custody on the 11th.
Yeah.
4 different ones. There was like a 6 p.m., a 9 p.m., a 10 o'clock, and a 10:17 or something like that. Then 2 of those times had to be subpoenaed through the Freedom of Information Act to be discovered that, oh wait, there's conflicting reports on when he was taken into custody. And the 6 p.m. narrative is supposedly when he was on Discord giving a confession to people on Discord. And he's already in custody.
Yeah.
So, remind me, according to the state's case, the evidence that has been released,
Mhm.
at what point is Tyler Robinson considered a suspect?
I mean, they don't. I don't know the exact point they declared it in the news, the media. I just know we all within what hours.
No, not the
of the
media.
events.
I'm talking
Well,
about.
the media claims they got their information from the FBI and SBI. Because remember, the FBI showed up, and they're the ones who actually found the rifle in the bushes wrapped in a towel with the screwdriver. By the way,
They
Yeah,
caught him
so-
at 33 hours. By the way, isn't that funny? I was at 33. Yeah.
My point is, regardless of what the media and the public, when they learned about it, I'm saying, what is the official narrative for when the authorities were turned on to Tyler as a suspect?
I don't know.
What is the chain of that custody? That's the key. I don't recall the details at this point in time. I did hear the thing go around where it's like, well,
remember, he supposedly turned himself in. They were still doing a man
Right.
on
because
with
the narrative,
AI images floating around already somehow.
the narrative was that his father had a conversation. Him and his father,
friend.
he-
A friend of his
And a friend of his
father.
father.
A
Yes.
youth pastor friend
Yes.
from the
Yeah.
church or something like that.
Yep.
Something
So
like
so
that.
Tyler basically admitted to it to his father. That's the story. And then his father convinced his friend convinced his father to basically convince Tyler, and they turned him in essentially.
Has he admitted it though?
Who?
He hasn't confessed, right?
Who?
Has he confessed to the murder?
The actual guy, Tyler Robinson.
Oh, no, he is not.
I'm not sure. Oh.
No. Nope.
Okay.
We don't. That's going to come up in the
It's
trial.
hard to believe, yeah. Well, it would be a case closed at that point if he
It would be a
confessed.
trial.
Absolutely. Yeah. Once we get to the trial, we're going to see what the defense says. If the defense says none of this is me, I didn't send those text messages, that Discord was made up. None of, if that happens,
No, I'm saying if he turned himself in because he felt guilty or whatever, why would there be a trial if he just said, I did it, I confess, written confession, no need to go to trial? There would be no preliminary hearing. It would be a different proceeding.
Yeah.
well, no, you could have the evidence we have. You could absolutely have him
So
saying
his
to
defense came in
father-
and said, retract your confession and we're going to go to trial. Now you change your confession. That's not been stated publicly that he changed a confession or that he even gave a confession.
you
They
still-
claim
you would
his
still go to
confession is
trial.
the text messages and the Discord correspondence.
You would absolutely still go to trial because it's not just about convicting you. It's not just about determining guilt. It's about determining your sentence too,
Mhm.
and trying to make sure that you get as little punishment as possible. So you would absolutely, you could
Well,
absolutely.
the punishment
have-
is the death penalty.
It could be.
Utah, yeah.
That's why
It
they're
could
going
be.
for aggravated murder.
It could be that could be a punishment, but that's the whole point of the.
No,
of
it
defense
is the
team.
punishment. It is the
If
punishment.
he's guilty for aggravated murder, that is the penalty. If
That is
he's
the
guilty
penalty.
from aggravated murder, yeah.
That is the max. That is the max allowable punishment. Yes.
Yeah.
My point is, you could have Tyler's dad and his friend and Tyler himself turning himself in. You could have text messages from Tyler that convinced it or said that he did it, and you could still have a trial with a defense team trying to
You would
get
have a
him.
sentence. You would have a sentencing. I don't think it would go to trial per se. If you
Yes, you would
confess,
still
written
have a
confession-
trial. You would
Have you
still have a
guys-
trial to
Written
determine
confession?
guilt. You
Have
would
you guys
still have
ever
a
heard of
trial
a-
to determine guilt.
Have you guys ever heard of a mistrial due to improper police procedure with
Yeah,
gathering
absolutely.
evidence in the crime scene?
Oh yeah.
Do you think anything that we just talked about could possibly apply to all that as a mistrial, covering up the crime scene within 24 hours?
Ooh, no, I don't think any of that because it doesn't have direct bearing on Tyler specifically. It's circumstantial at that
On
point.
discovery?
Brother, the whole thing you're assuming is that Tyler shot him with a rifle. Now, if there was an explosive device within the microphone, that would leave residue all over the place. In the tent, on the stage, on Charlie's shirt, which they
soil.
conveniently threw away, on the
soil.
vehicle that he was in, that they conveniently stripped and cleaned and sold. Why wasn't that vehicle kept in evidence and processed?
Mm.
Why did they sell that? Why did they literally strip it, clean it, and sell it? Like, that's crazy.
Everything was everything was
All
get
the-
rid
all
of-
the
get
guys-
rid of it.
All the guys that dragged him to the SUV to take him to the hospital all threw away their shirts.
Yeah,
They claimed they were bloody, but regardless, if the point is that would be police evidence. You would give it to the police. You wouldn't throw away your shirt. They threw away Charlie's shirt. They gave the necklace, which would have explosive residue on them, because if you see the video from behind Charlie when it happens, his necklace explodes out the back of his shirt. At an upward direction, not at a direction consistent with the supposed shot from the bullet. At an upward towards the point of impact, towards the actual exit wound that we saw spurting blood. The necklace flies out the back of his shirt backwards, as you see the shirt puff up from the inside. So that's a whole nother thing as far as like that shirt, that necklace, all that stuff. Charlie's body they don't even know where it is. Why isn't it being kept on ice? By the way, did you know that when they took him they claimed that they did before midnight on the 10th. So he's killed at 12:23. They claimed that forensics came in and before that he was taken to the hospital and that he was supposedly forensics got there at like 9 o'clock. And before the next day at like 11:48 or whatever, they had already finished the autopsy. But that's not the procedure for an autopsy, because typically you put them from 6 to 8 hours on ice so that they can be a chilled body while you do the autopsy for a bunch of reasons, a bunch of medical reasons. Mm-hmm. So they did an autopsy within 12 hours on a warm body against protocol, case closed. Where they gave the necklace back to his wife within like 48 hours. That would have explosive residue on it. So the point is, I guess what I'm saying, Trey, I'm not trying to be like, I'm not trying to be conspiratorial. I am just trying to say there's a lot of things that all the lack of police procedure, all the conflicting testimony, the way these people behaved, the fact that the FBI took all the video surveillance of both hospitals so that you don't see him coming and going or what time people came and go for that day. And nobody can corroborate a story on when the medical examiner showed up and when they left and where they took Charlie or none of that stuff. So it's just, there's just so many inconsistencies. I really struggle with this one. I do.
Yeah, I get it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with questioning the narrative or zeroing in on data. I think that the difficulty for me is that there's always going to be a possible plausible explanation of various things, and that you're not going to be able to actually discern it until the full body of evidence is put out and the trial actually happens. So I'm just I hear it, I get it. It is weird, but it's possible, and you could have a plausible explanation for why these things happened, and Tyler Robinson could be the guy that killed him. Like,
it could be. It could be. No. Of course.
What do you guys think of this? All right, so this is the actual one of the camera behind him, supposedly the point of impact. So the necklace flies up out of his shirt. That's the necklace. You see that what looks like a white string.
Yep.
Yeah.
Going the direction towards the point of impact and not away from it. Flies up out of his shirt, and of course people are freaking out.
Yeah.
Now that's from that side. Here's from another angle. And do you see his shirt puff up? That's the crazy part. Let me go back a little bit. See that shirt puff up? So there's a front angle.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for the gruesome images, guys. I'm going to find the front angle in just a minute, where you actually see white smoke coming out of his collar.
Yeah, from the collar of his shirt. What seems like white smoke, yeah. For sure.
Well, one thing, again, I said at the beginning, but watching this again just makes me angry anew, and whoever is responsible for this needs to be held accountable.
Sure.
So I really, really hope that whatever happens in this trial, it is conducive to that.
What do you guys think about the assistant to Charlie Kirk? His name was Mikey McCoy. And literally up on the moment of impact, he pulls his phone up and does this, puts it to his ear and walks away and doesn't even look at Charlie falling over. Doesn't act scared as if there's an active shooter. Literally just starts slowly walking away into the distance in the parking lot with his phone to his ear.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. I understand why someone would view that as suspicious. I do. But I also think that there just are men and there are people who, when a tragedy strikes, they have prepared themselves mentally to act. And I mean, the truth is, you can watch. We just saw the video a couple times.
But the train bodyguards.
There was 15 people.
Yeah, The trained
There's
bodyguards
15
prepared
people
themselves to act. They went down. Everybody else ducked. He doesn't duck.
Mm-hmm.
He just turns around and slowly walks away as he apparently initiated a phone call and took a phone call.
Yeah.
I just think that's highly irregular behavior. If you think there's an active shooter, people shooting literally, he stood literally like 5 feet from Charlie on his left.
If your best friend just got shot, I don't think that's the reaction. I mean, I don't know how close they were, but I think they've been working together for years.
I think he'd been there for 2 or 3 years. I don't know if they're best friends because he was much younger. He was like 22 or 23. Charlie was like what?
Talk.
Charlie was like
he
31.
talks about him. He talks about him like they were really close. I don't know.
Yeah. So,
it was
Trey, do you feel like that would cause people to think that these are abnormal reactions to a crisis where everyone else is having a different response?
It's abnormal. But that does not mean that it's like some conspiracy, like he knew it was going to happen and like he wasn't calling 911 or whatever. Like that it's possible that.
Well, they have his phone records, by the way.
Yeah, so let's see what happens with that.
No, it's already been released. He claims that he was calling his father. His father gave a sermon. His father's a pastor. Supposedly Charlie's pastor. I think Frank Turk would probably have something to argue about that. But this guy, Mikey McCoy's father, claims that he called him the moment that Charlie got shot and was on the phone with him. But his phone records show that he called his wife at that moment when he turned around and walked away. And then after speaking with his wife for 2 or 3 minutes, then did a 3-way call with Erica Kirk to let her know that he'd been shot. And then called his father later. So the father claimed that Mikey McCoy was covered in blood. Like the father publicly gave a sermon explaining the detailed course of events from the moment of impact on Charlie to what his son did at that time. And it's all not true.
According to the phone records, you're saying that's been released and is public. I have not seen those. I've not tracked down this part of the story, so I don't know. All I was saying is, and I hope that whatever the facts are laid out and compared to what people were claiming, and if they were lying, that needs to be dealt with. But
do you think that people should be prosecuted for, like, in a perfect world? Clearly, I don't think they're going to do that in this case. But do you think that people who tamper the crime scene should be dealt with 100%. By the authorities?
Well, are you turning back to like the governor having the paved over and all that?
Not just the governor, his own security team waving off the actual EMTs that were there and taking them, destroying the evidence of his shirt, of all their shirts, their car being sold, not retreat, like the camera that we just saw, that point of impact from the back. This guy named Terrell Farnsworth was the cameraman who he's on camera, but someone else is recording him on his cell phone after Charlie's already whisked away. And he goes and gets the chair that Charlie fell over in, stands on the chair and gets the SD card out of the camera from behind his head, while not getting the SD cards of the other 2 cameras that were in the tent. Because his official story was, well, I was concerned people were going to steal the SD cards to take the actual footage. But yet he only took the one that was pointed at the point of impact and not the other ones that would actually face the shooter from the Losi building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he didn't care about those. And then there's the persons that recorded him doing this. Then they show him looking around very, very weirdly, and then pulling out his laptop and uploading and sticking that USB drive into his laptop. And, I'm sure it's easy for him to say, oh, I was just making a copy or backup. Sure. But it just seems really weird because he didn't give that to the police for months. And then he didn't give the USB or the SD card to the police. He gave them a copied version of it that they can't corroborate is the original. That's the official story, Trey. Trey, this isn't just hearsay. This is the official story.
Yeah.
Like by their own admission at TPUSA, he was like, oh, well, they didn't ask me for it. And he didn't give it to him for like 2 months. And then when he did give it to him, he didn't give him the original. He gave him what was already admitted a copied version.
Mm-hmm. Well, to your point there earlier about, people being prosecuted for what they do wrong and all of this. Obviously, I think there are laws on the books about that. And so, yeah, I mean, if they did something illegal or they did something that was not under the advisement of law enforcement at the time, then that should be dealt with, of course.
Actually, Lenny is saying that her county has an impound lot for those vehicles involved in crimes. They don't sell them for years. You're right. I already knew about this. It was actually something I was going to pull up, but just didn't have time because I got scattered notes on all this stuff everywhere. But yeah, there's so many things outside of normal protocol for actual investigation for them to say within 33 hours, oh, it's wrapped up and done. We're good. Got him. While saying, oh, it's just a politically motivated zealot for the left who's trying to support the rainbow mafia LGBTQ narrative versus Charlie called for an internal audit of TPUSA because he felt like someone was swindling millions of dollars from his own company, literally a month before this event. And within days after his death, the people that took over TPUSA canceled that audit.
Wow.
Did they?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I knew about
so
the
like
audit.
any like you don't have to be Columbo to figure this one out. Like any investigator would go, okay, wait a minute now. Let's sequester and subpoena all the phone records of everyone that worked in TPUSA for the last year or two. Let's do a financial audit. Let's get in there. Let's figure out what's going on. None of that's happened. All of it's just been ignored. None of that's happened.
Yeah. Well, we do have to remember that we live in a highly polarized time, and even there's a phrase that I've heard, and I know it's imperfect, but it's never attribute to malice what you can attribute to foolishness.
Yeah.
And one thing you have to keep in mind is that people can be partisan, and my point is just simply I think there is a possibility that people involved in law enforcement or higher up could just have been partial to the people involved at TPUSA, Erica Kirk, and not gone through normal right procedures that should have been gone through without it being some kind of conspiracy and cover up.
The FBI came in to take over the situation, brother.
Yeah.
You think the FBI forgot? You think the FBI forgot all their investigative protocol?
The current the person who was in charge of the FBI at that point is a partisan. Let's not be. My point is that there is a kind of partiality that can be shown, especially to someone like Erica and Charlie Kirk, by people, quote unquote, on their side in this kind of case. Like real
quick, I don't want to put you in conflict, Trey, because you are actively a member of the military. So disclose to me right now, if anything we're talking about tonight may put you in some sort of jeopardy with your job.
No.
Let me know. Okay. Okay. Because you come across, in everything else I've heard you say on other topics, you come across much more logical to the stated facts, as opposed to, well, it's probably just incompetence and not malicious, even though they're abandoning all of these
more than incompetence. It could just
normal
be
protocols,
wrong actions. Like, I'm not just saying incompetence. I'm saying they could have been not following rules they should have followed because they were partial to the people involved.
Yeah. So apparently, the guy in the preliminary hearing, the guy who claims to have retrieved the screwdriver from the roof, his body cam goes out conveniently, like literally as he gets up on the roof.
Of course,
his
like body cam goes out, and so it doesn't show him retracting the screwdriver from the roof. And there was as he's walking up onto the roof, there was a second man with him. And then the defense is asking him, who's that second man with you? Because maybe we can get his body cam, right? And then he's like, oh, I can't, I don't know who it is. I don't remember who was with me. And then like YouTube investigative journalists find out the name of the guy that was with him. And they're like, well, let's just get his body cam because it was that easy to find out who that was. But yet nobody on either side of this case is actually pressing to say, okay, well, show like these body cams are super helpful for a reason, right? You claim that you have a body cam that was charged up for the day, and you're only 6 hours into your day, and supposedly these things can run for 18 to 24 hours, but yet it just goes out. And exactly at the moment that you're about to walk up and retrieve a huge piece of this narrative, which is the screwdriver.
Yeah, that's obviously frustrating. And
sounds convenient.
Right.
So apparently they couldn't find the gun. Are you aware that they couldn't find the gun until the FBI showed up?
I'm only aware that the gun was found in the woods. That's what I was told.
Right. And
That's
it
what
was
I've heard.
only after the FBI showed up.
Yeah.
So they had all the other people out scouring, the other law enforcement agencies. Nobody found anything, and then the FBI shows up and says, "Oh, it's just right here. It's right across from lot M20 in the bushes in this wooded area, right at the back of this Palantir house. I mean, right at the back of this house."
Mhm.
It's just weird.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I don't have. Yeah, I just the issue for me is again.
Yeah, that's another thing. The bomb dogs and the gun sniffing dogs actually missed it as well.
Yeah.
As they went through the campus and the surrounding areas, but then here comes the FBI and they magically found it. You know what really messes with me the most is the narrative that Charlie had a Superman neck and the bullet didn't take his head off. In fact, it got lodged in his spine because it was a miracle of God, because God strengthened his neck. This is the official thing coming out of TPUSA, was that God strengthened his neck so that the bullet didn't take his head clean off and decapitate him. And I'm sitting there going, why couldn't God just save him from getting hit by the bullet? If we're ascribing miracles to God, why not just blow the bullet off course 2 inches and it misses him completely? If it's a bullet.
Yeah.
So Sean, I'm curious because obviously you have these suspicions about the official narrative, and I totally understand. We've covered some of that
because I've researched it.
Yeah, is it your opinion that the evidence currently suggests that he was not shot, that he was?
Yeah, the evidence currently suggests that there was an explosion in his microphone. That's why they found shards of the Rode microphone in the car, and it's in the pictures of the car before they stripped it. I actually have those microphones, and it is the same black glass. I personally can verify from the pictures taken from the SUV that was in the floorboard, and there's no reason, if he's hit in the neck by a bullet lodged in his spine, there's no reason for the microphone taped to his chest underneath his shirt to be exploded. So if you're trying to cover up all the little fragments of the Rode microphone glass, as well as the explosive material, I think it was called petin, I think, which would be in the grass, on the stage, on the chair, on his shirt, on his necklace, on all the people that messed with him. It would be in the car. If you're trying to do all that, then they conveniently hit every point of covering up the explosive residue and the exploded microphone conveniently. That's not included in the case. It's not included in the evidence for the defense. It's not even propagated as a part of any narrative for how he died. So that's where I really struggle with all this.
And if I understood what you've said and kind of alluded to earlier, you think that it was an internal TPUSA setup of Charlie?
I don't think TPUSA orchestrated anything. I think the people that did, TPUSA just stood back because they don't have the power to change what's going to happen anyway.
So people at TPUSA knew that he was going to be killed and just didn't do anything about it? Did I understand what you just said correctly? I have no reason to think that they had prior foreknowledge or were part of any conspiracy to plan in any way this event.
We don't know.
Well, isn't that what you just talked about with, I forget his name, but the guy that you said, hey, he's on his phone and he didn't.
No, I just said it's extremely weird behavior for Mikey McCoy to see his boss and supposed friend get shot and not react, but instead just calmly walk away. The weirdest part, if you look at the video, it's like he's answering a call, or maybe he makes a call. It's like this, boom. You know, I'm not saying he pressed the button to signify to the explosion. I'm just saying it's like, boom, he answers a call like nothing's happening. People are screaming and running. He's not screaming and running like there's nothing happening. Like he's in his own world. Maybe that's his personality. Maybe he is super self-consumed in his personality. He's got 1,000 people running past him, screaming bloody murder, and police running the other way past him, and he just walks away like nothing's going on. Maybe he's like Einstein, who claimed that he could just walk through the rain and not realize it's raining because he's doing mathematical computations in his head. He's lost in thought. Maybe that's who he is. I don't know.
But what's that was my point of what I was asking you about him, though, is like, what's the implication supposed to be then?
The people at TPUSA even if they had foreknowledge to this, they don't have the power to stop it. Is what I was trying to say.
I know, but I was asking you because what you had said was
because the people that are involved with TPUSA at the high level organizations of American politics that would be orchestrate something like this, to have it to be an actual high level operation to take out a political figure who's about to destroy your political goals, which was Charlie Kirk was extremely vocal against the war in Iran. He had already met with the president multiple times and went on camera multiple times saying we should not go to war with Iran. That is the worst thing we could do. I've already told President Trump we shouldn't do it. And he was also criticizing Israel for the Ghazian genocide.
And for their continual lobbying, especially through AIPAC. Yes.
Yeah.
But my point was,
so if an anonymous group, if an anonymous group within that high level of political international power play were to hire people to carry out an operation like this, and they did somehow warn or slip to let employees at TPUSA have foreknowledge of it, TPUSA employees could not have stopped it or done anything to have prevented it. Because they would have basically it's under the threat of their own life at that point.
Yeah. So basically, you think that that one fellow might be involved, considering his suspicious behavior, but there's no.
I just said that if he had any foreknowledge of what was about to happen, he would have been under threat of his own life to say anything. So he's not going to say anything, and he's just going to possibly try to just leave the scene because he doesn't want to see it because he can't fight against it, or he's too afraid to fight against it. Did you know that Candace Owens is being sued by Charlie's head of security? His name is Dan Flood. And
I know she's being sued by a few people and is going to get sued by a lot more.
Yeah, she's being sued by Dan Flood because he's claiming her criticism of his actions that day has caused him to lose work. Regardless of the fact that he lost his client publicly, but that's his claim. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
security team you want.
So is that your? So if I understand you correctly, you're saying that.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm being corrected. I am saying the wrong name. It's actually a guy named Brian Harpole, not Dan Flood. I guess Brian Harpole is the guy who adjusted his sleeve right as the impact happened. He's the guy that went on the Sean Ryan show and said a whole bunch of wild stuff. He tried to give Charlie Kirk's bag to Sean Ryan. I'm like, bro, why isn't that in evidence? What are you doing? What is going on here? Like, this is crazy to me.
Everything's weird.
It's crazy to me, bro.
Everything's off.
It is
mainly the. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Podcaster.
So question.
Yeah, mainly the money thing about what was happening. I think that's very important. That should be looked at before ever trying to say, oh, maybe this guy was involved. I think first it should be figured out who or how was the money being siphoned out of the company, because that would be very important.
Terrell Farnsworth, he's the cameraman that took the SD card. Yeah, the money is usually a massive motivator for stuff like this, you know.
Well, isn't the implication of that was a TPUSA thing?
Yeah, that's the implication, is that Israeli backed or Israeli promoting donors of a Jewish ethnicity were some of the most affluential donors to TPUSA. And Charlie had some internal text messages that came to light that he was upset with those donors trying to sway their decisions within the company, and he wanted to ignore them basically and just refuse their money. So
and again, so Sean, if I understand,
these are all data points. Yeah. These are all data points. It's not about making an accusation about what happened. It's a data point, you know. Okay. Go ahead.
Well, there's data points that are relevant to, questioning the current narrative, the state's case, all of that. And then there's data points that are being used to insinuate something else. And that's the point I was getting at a moment ago, which is it sounded like some of these points were, well, TPUSA did it. Somebody in TPUSA did it. And then
that's why
sounds to you maybe.
Yeah, I could see how you could think that, but that's why I asked earlier about the old man who stood up and his pants fell down, George Zinn, like who he's claiming someone was going to pay him to do that. Who was that? Right? I'm not insinuating TPUSA claim. or he was lying.
I mean, come
Hey,
on, like
maybe
it's
he
a
was.
weird-
Maybe he was.
or he's some kook that was lying, and he's
have you seen
not,
the
not at all
video?
relevant.
Look, but just think about this
Maybe.
for 2 seconds. Have you seen the video? Like Charlie, impact happens. This dude immediately stands up and starts saying, "I did it. Shoot
There's
me."
crazy people out there. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
maybe.
Yes, I get it. I
Maybe.
get it. It could be. It could be indicative of something that's more significant. It could also not be significant at all.
Yeah. I just wonder where's the interview with that guy, and he's claiming someone offered to pay him to say that. Okay, who paid you to say that? Where's the interview with
Yep.
this? What's going on there? Where's your correspondence with him? Was it through cell phone or text? Was
That
it through Discord?
Hopefully that happened. We don't.
Yeah,
we don't know.
No one's talking
Yeah,
about
we
it
don't
because the
know.
case is
Right.
closed, Trey. That's what I'm trying to say. The case is closed. They're not
Yeah, right.
investigating George Zen. They're not
Well, that does
investigating
happen.
anybody at TPUSA. They're not investigating the
Yeah.
the source that people have claimed it was a French Foreign Legion that was literally submitted to the Department of Homeland Security. They're not investigating any of that stuff.
Mhm.
Did
Yeah,
Trey? Did you know that? Did you know that a month before the event happened, that Tyler Robinson's name was being searched in Hebrew on Google? His name and address was being searched in
It's
Hebrew from a Hebrew keyboard in Lincoln, Nebraska.
It had a spike. It had a spike in
No, did not know
Google
that.
Trends.
No.
I do know that. I don't know. I'd have to track that down. Haven't heard of that. I do know that there has been some of these kinds of conspiracies that have floated around about what was searched.
It's not a
and it was
conspiracy.
wrong. No. There have
No,
been
this-
conspiracies that were wrong.
Yeah,
Even
this one's
Candace's
been
source
verified. Yeah, sure.
About the Egyptian planes.
No,
Okay.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this
know
has
you're
been
not talking about
verified. It's a feature with Google where you can look up what was searched at what days and from what region or from what IP address area. So
Google Trends,
there's
yeah.
also additional searches for UVU, the hospital, the medical examiner, the surgeons on staff at that hospital at Timpanogos, the hospital itself, as well as many other very critical points of this event was also being searched back in May from Israel.
Yeah.
People, places, specifics, like specific names of doctors.
It just seems funny to me.
Absolutely. That is significant, and
Just
that
some
should have-
was it called, what's the word? Not omniscient, but not a
premonition?
premonition, but
No?
people that can have a premonition are called there's some fortune tellers out there. There's some people with some interesting ideas to just Google randomly all these very specific
clairvoyance.
people.
Is that what you're thinking? of?
Maybe clairvoyance.
Maybe. Maybe that could work.
But-
yeah.
Premonitions.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and that is obviously odd. Yeah, I want as much of the relevant facts to be brought to trial as possible. And if Tyler Robinson
Yeah.
is not guilty, I don't want him to be charged. So I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I don't think you
Yeah.
do. I don't think that you made your statement clear at the beginning that you don't have your mind made up on Tyler. Like you're waiting to see the evidence unfold at the trial.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think you do. I just think it's interesting the amount of data points in this particular discussion that the average person who just claims, who makes it not you, but the average person that always seems to want to reshift the narrative to just say, well, Candace Owens is a nutcase. When there's credible lawyers out there following this case saying way more substantial things than Candace Owens, that they're bringing up all kinds of data points because they know how to actually search for certain things within the system that she doesn't, and they're bringing up way more substantial things. There's a guy I'm trying to have on the show to interview about that. He's a lawyer named Baron Coleman, I believe. Baron Coleman.
Yeah.
And he's been doing active legal research into this and finding out that, bro, there is just so many problems, so many problems. What's going on, Rebel? Welcome, brother. Good to see you.
Yeah. Hey, Sean. What's up, guys? How's it going? I'm not sure if I've seen this guy, I guess, who's on the top right corner here before, but it sounds like, Sean, you're familiar with him. But
Yeah,
just
this is Trey. He has the theological
okay.
experience on YouTube. He's interviewed me in the past about theology, basically.
Okay. Does he share sort of similar views about some of the other more controversial topics that
It's an
discuss-
open
I
panel,
mean,
brother.
I'm here.
You can
Hi.
ask him. It's an open panel.
Okay, what's up, Trey? Yeah. So I was just kind of hearing the conversation that you guys were having for a little bit now. Are you familiar with the concept of something like that's called predictive programming, or like there's also somewhat related. There's this whole idea about like the sort of occult symbolism that a lot of these elites like to use, and the idea behind that is that they kind of effectively they serve as these little breadcrumbs that they leave behind to kind of give us clues as to who's behind these kind of things, and that it is in fact like a staged, planned event, like a conspiracy, if you will. Like, are you familiar with any of these kind of concepts?
Not the terminology you're using, but I get what you're saying.
Okay, yeah, and then similarly, there's actually even something called like the revelation of the method, and that essentially means that when these kind of things happen, they have this sort of spiritual pact or whatever you want to call it, where basically they're saying there's no excuse to know the truth because they've left behind these little like clues and golden nuggets behind for anyone who has eyes to see and ears to hear, and is not completely blind to it. It's just blatantly obvious that the official narrative can't possibly be the truth, and that what actually happened is when you just sort of have to, like, you can sort of realize it when you sort of read in between the lines. Okay, so the reason why I bring all this up is because, and by the way, just to be clear, I feel like this whole Charlie Kirk thing happened such a long time ago. I haven't really got into it like I first did when it first happened, but I guess now it's coming back up in the news because of the whole Tyler Robinson trial thing. And I know that Sean, you covered the live debate that Andrew Wilson had with Candace Owens. So actually, before I get into it, just to make sure, Sean, or maybe even this other guy, Codex Archivist, did you guys speak with Trey or maybe any other panelists so far about the movie Snake Eyes and its connection to this event?
Rebel, as someone that actually does believe Tyler Robinson is a patsy being set up for this, I struggle with connecting the movie Snake Eyes to this event. I actually remember the movie Snake Eyes. I used to like it. I came out when I was 18 years old. I used to like it. I thought it was, it was before I realized that Nicolas Cage was an absolute wild fruitcake. So even though he's a crazy method actor, I used to like Nicolas Cage, and I used to like that movie. And so I watched it many times. And yes, there's some names that have some correlation with the names in this case. But overall, did you know that Snake Eyes actually had a redacted ending that has nothing to do with the Charlie Kirk case?
I haven't. I haven't watched the movie itself, so no, I would not be familiar with that.
So it had an original ending that was changed once it was set up for theatrical release, and the original ending, basically, long story short, if the original version came out, it would definitely have even less correlation with the Charlie Kirk case.
And this is my issue with this whole thing, is that what are the limits on the speculation and the insinuations? Like,
well, I understand predictive programming, Rebel. I get it.
Yeah.
I struggle with, I mentioned a lot of this predictive programming stuff in my Investigating Babylon series, my 42 series. I understand the principle and how it works.
Right.
Snake Eyes was not a popular movie. It's not, I'm like a cinephile, right? I love movies. I remember movies. But the average person, they were not. The society was not influenced by Snake Eyes. I'm just saying it was an obscure movie from the late 80s, the late 90s. Yeah. I don't see how that would have been a big predictive programming for society for this event.
Correct. So I would argue that. So I'm only using the term predictive programming because that's sort of the that's the most common term that's kind of used for this kind of thing when you're making a correlation between a real life event and something that's found in the entertainment industry. But I would say a movie or TV show or whatever doesn't necessarily have to be something popular in order for there to be like an actual connection, right? Like just the fact that this movie has come back up into the public space after the Charlie Kirk event, and they're making these connections between like the names and some of the similarities about what actually happened. That to me is enough to say that it's not just merely coincidence. There clearly must be. It's at least one indication that this whole thing was planned way long before than we ever could have imagined. That's my ultimate point.
Okay. Well, if I may, I'm sorry, Trey. Did you want to respond?
I mean, again,
'Cause I think he initially was trying to address you.
Yes, I get the point, and I know there's the whole classic like one counterpoint I would make to this, right? And then maybe you're going to go with the conspiratorial version of this too, in my opinion. But there was a book that was written long before the Titanic sank that was eerily similar to the events that happened with the Titanic, and it's like, are we supposed to believe this was predictive programming and this is the Illuminati sinking the Titanic? And it's like, where does this speculation and insinuation end? Like, there's always going to be a theory you can run out there with.
Well, there was a book written about a guy named Elon becoming the king of Mars in the 1960s. That's weird. Supposedly satellites was, I think, Arthur C. Clarke invention in science fiction before they were ever officially invented by the government or by anybody to be used by the government. I understand predictive programming, and I do think there are some things out there. And it's okay. I'm not trying to like rebel. I'm not trying to dog on you, brother, if you believe that movie does it. Here's what I would say though, because Six Nines was so obscure of a movie, I feel like it would be more of a predictive program if Snake Eyes was a part of a larger effort. We see that same narrative in other movies as well that directly matches the Charlie Kirk scenarios. And I still personally think that some of the things in Snake Eyes is a stretch for how they're trying to match it up with the Charlie Kirk thing. I was actually really surprised when people started saying Snake Eyes predicted the Charlie Kirk death. I'm like, who watched Snake Eyes? That's crazy. I thought I was the only one. So it's wild. But hey, Rebel, I see your auntie, and I want to raise you. Okay, watch this. This guy says that there are very similar events to Charlie Kirk's death with Martin Luther King.
Okay.
Tell me if you guys can hear the audio.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just 1 second. Because this guy tries to point out the similarities in the official case, not internet speculation, but the official case from the case files from Martin Luther King. He tries to say that it's similar.
There's no way they would run the same playbook twice, right? April 4th, 1968. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. steps out onto the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee at 6:01 p.m. Authorities say a single 30-06 rifle shot strikes him in the jaw and neck. One shot, one kill. The police also find a bundle near the crime scene, which contained a Remington Model 760 rifle, binoculars, and personal items tied to one James Earl Ray, an escaped convict from Missouri. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover quickly pronounced Ray to be a lone, racist, hate-filled assassin, and that there were no co-conspirators, no second shooter, and no larger plot. Didn't something like that happen just recently? Years later, the FBI and also the House Select Committee on Assassinations both admitted they could never conclusively match the fatal bullet to Ray's rifle. So in other words, the single most important piece of forensic proof tying Ray to the murder does not actually exist. And then there were the contradicting eyewitnesses. This is from the Washington Post. Quote, some witnesses, including then New York Times reporter Earl Caldwell, said that they saw a man moving in the thick bushes behind Jim's Grill, which is near the crime scene, but in a location not where Ray was said to be. Then they say, for reasons unknown, Memphis Public Works employees cut down the bushes and destroyed a possible crime scene the very next morning.
Wait, what? They cut down the bushes where the weapon was found the next day. That's crazy, yo.
As always, when you follow the evidence or lack thereof, things just stop adding up.
Yeah, it's
another
weird.
Another one came up in the chat. The whole, Lincoln and JFK connection.
Yeah, I've heard some of those. Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, that one's crazy. See, I just don't think that these kinds of things necessarily relate. Like, it doesn't just because there's these there is such a thing as coincidence. That's all I'm trying to say.
There is. What do you guys think would have to happen if it somehow came out that there was a collusion of governments, both domestic and foreign, that were trying to take out Charlie Kirk and all his political influence, and wanted to get them out of the way. I mean, it is weird that as soon as he dies, like TPOSA is having like his enemies come speak at his conferences. Like that's a weird look. That's not a good look to me. And they give speeches that are derogatory towards Charlie Kirk's friends. It's just weird. It's a weird thing. So if it did come to light with definitive proof and everyone was honest about it, that there was French Foreign Legion involved, that these searches from DC and Tel Aviv did implicate the U.S. government and the Israeli government, as well as the French government. Of course, I don't know if the French Foreign Legion is directly an arm of the French government, or are they just mercenaries for hire? It's hard to say. But if that all came to light as true, what do you guys think that would actually happen in the world? Would anything have anybody actually take action? Anything happen?
I mean, bro, if this is true, that there was some kind of grand conspiracy and that it's almost succeeding, then you're not going to find out for another 50 years, if that.
I mean, if it came out,
like if it came out in this trial or in the next year.
Okay, you mean recently?
Yeah.
If all of it came out.
Yeah, if it came out soon, like in the next year, that all these allegations, they did have definitive proof. Like, what are we going to do? What would anybody be able to do? Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I think the power imbalance is so large that there might be a public outcry of some sort, but as far as actually making some kind of impact on a geopolitical level that changes the infrastructure of like the political governing powers or something like that, I mean, I don't think it could ever go to that extent, right?
Yeah,
you're right.
There'd be riots. There might be riots. There might be those type of things. But to change the infrastructure that's already in place, I don't think we have the wherewithal.
It's almost like we need a politician who can go in there and drain the swamp.
Well, I don't think we're going to get that, unfortunately.
As if that exists. Hey, thanks for the super chat, Aaron. He's saying everyone knows you buy your way in DC. So, of course, foreign nations infiltrate and subvert the U.S. all the time. I do not like the idea that there's foreign lobbies in our government. I don't think that that's a good idea. I think that should be banned personally. I think term limits should be instituted for Congress. But that's just me.
So real quick, actually, I think originally what I meant to ask in my sort of getting to know Trey is, like, do you hold to any of these quote unquote, what most people consider conspiracy theories, like, to actually be true? And maybe to ask you specifically, that's going to be most relevant to something like a Charlie Kirk, assassination. Like any of the, of course, in my view, I'm going to say alleged school shootings, like mass school shootings. Do you believe the official narratives for all those, or for something like a Sandy Hook, or one of like the gay club bars in Orlando, or even maybe even going back to like 9/11? And I know you might have a conflict of interest because apparently you're part of the military. But any of those, do you not believe the official narrative of?
I mean, I don't. Well, first of all, I don't really understand what the point of that question is. Like,
well, because I'm trying to, because
let's say I say no,
then that tells me a lot, right? That tells me if you believe the official story for all the preceding events that are become national stories and headlines, prior to the Charlie Kirk event, then of course you're going to believe this one. That's just you being consistent with your historical take on everything else, right?
But that has no evidential value to anything.
But it tells me your level of willingness.
I could just flip it. I could literally just flip it in the exact opposite direction and say, well, because you believe all the conspiracies, of course you're going to believe that this is a conspiracy. So this functions as merely an ad hominem.
All of them, right? You'd have to be specific about which ones.
and at least for me, in terms of this one, sorry to butt in just quickly. For me, it's just the accumulation of things. It's not because I like the way Trey thinks to some extent, because we all have to be, kind of based. We don't want to be out there just believing everything that is said.
Yeah.
But it's the accumulation of things. Like we've mentioned. I mean, Sean has mentioned a few, and this is not even scratching the surface. There's so much more that has been mentioned, like that Barry Coleman, that Coleman guy. He does a very good job in researching the stuff, journalism. There's a lot, and it's just the accumulation of things that got me wondering and thinking maybe there is something else here that we're not being told.
Yeah.
Hey,
Bear
Sheet. Real quick. I'm sorry, Trey. Just 1 second.
No, you're good, you're good.
Levi, welcome. Bear Sheet Firm, welcome. Did you have anything to add to this? Because we are going to be shutting this down here in a few minutes.
Well, I don't know if I do. How should I say it? There's so many. Here's the problem. When I was looking at it, and I don't think it takes a sniper necessarily to get done. I thought that was a pretty easy shot. Whoever did it, whether it's Tyler James Woods or anybody else.
You think he intended to hit the neck or the center mass?
No, I think he hit the neck. I mean, I've looked at it from
you
every
think
angle.
Do you think he was aiming for the neck?
Yes, I do. And
okay,
you're only what, 200, 250 yards? That's not. Look, I wasn't a sniper, and I was a pretty good shot, and that would have been easy for me, if I had no conscience. But I mean, which I do. It's just.
Do you think that you would have been able to jump on that roof, lay down without taking a test shot, without sighting in, and just go ahead and use the scope?
Yes. Well, yes. Now I'd be rusty on the scopes and everything, but I shoot regularly yet on my homestead, just to stay honed to an extent.
What do you mean? What do you mean rusty on the scopes? What is that?
Well, with rifles and that, I haven't had them for a long time. I haven't used them, and there's a difference to them compared to my handguns. So, but I do stay somewhat.
But that's the point of
practiced.
contention, brother. That's the point of contention with this case, brother, is that this guy used a rifle, apparently a very old rifle, collector's item, and he had a scope on it.
Yep.
And just dropped down and was ready to go.
Wasn't that his grandfather's rifle originally?
Supposedly it was gifted to him by his granddad, yeah. But the point is about the shot being took without a warm-up shot, without sighting in, with using the scope, after being able to apparently...
You have to calibrate it. You have to zero it in.
He stuffed the rifle, supposedly, he stuffed the rifle in his pants to get up to the roof.
Well, no, I'm having some issues with it, Sean. Don't be mistaken. But
no, I'm just asking you. Yeah, that's why I was asking about.
I don't know. I just want to say I don't know, because then there's other videos or things of him where his pants is a little bit stuck out there. Not with the stuff you were just showing. I haven't been here real long, so I don't know the whole conversation. But one thing I find funny is because, and it may be that what's his name, who is in the military right now. I don't know what branch you're in. Where you've been for that matter, what your MOS is. But it seems really like a long shot, and they are very well and highly trained, although it still doesn't seem realistic to me that they would hire a Legionnaire to come over here and do that. That's utterly ridiculous to me. They have their own problems over in France. People are leaving their own countries to join the French Foreign Legion. They supposedly don't accept any French citizens. They take foreigners, and then after a 5-year term, you can be in there. You'll have your citizenship. And frankly, if I was in the Legionnaire at a younger age than I am now, I wouldn't have any reason why I'd want to come back to to America or anywhere else, because I know how they function, generally speaking, because I've talked with those guys. Now, maybe I'm out of date too. I've been out for 35 years. Okay, since 91. With that being said, and I don't know if you really want me to talk about why I wouldn't want to leave, because they take care of the men and their needs, and they're not allowed to marry, and we'll just but they have a group following them wherever they go. We saw it in Storm, but it's just, why would they want a Legionnaire to come over and do that? There's so many other well-trained units and people that go further than the military that they could easily get, and they didn't need that. I don't. Again, maybe Tyler didn't do it, but any guy who was raised by a deputy sheriff and was taught to hunt and to fish and be at least somewhat self-sufficient out in the woods could have pulled that off, I would think. Maybe, if there's somebody disagreeing, fine.
Yeah, interesting. Well, that's fascinating, guys. I actually have to bounce. I need to go ahead and leave. But any last words that anybody want to chime in on what you guys' thoughts on this? And clearly, we may have another roundtable in the future because this is an ongoing situation.
Yeah.
Not the investigation by the actual prosecution, but the citizen journalist investigation is an ongoing thing in the public narrative, and this is not going away. This has been trending for like a year now on X. This isn't going away, guys. This is this is one of the biggest cases. I think this is bigger than Casey Anthony. This might be like OJ level. This is crazy, and people will be talking about this probably this time next year. And there, like Kodak said, there are a lot of data points we did not get into.
Oh yeah.
Clearly, we're just having a discussion. None of us are building a case for the defense, nor are we building a case for the prosecution. But any last thoughts from anyone?
No, just thank you for having me on. I appreciate the time. See you guys, Trey, everyone else. Take care.
Yeah, I learned some things. Like I said at the beginning, glad to just have a conversation. And in any case, whatever the case is, once again, I just hope that justice is served. That's my ultimate hope.
Sure. Robert, any last words?
No, I was going to say, just to kind of chime off what Kodak was saying. Yeah, I agree. I take the same position. Like all these little things when they add up over time, and like I said, it's been a while since I've looked into this, but all of the little things definitely point to the official narrative. Just like there's no way that all adds up. So yeah, I'm sure there's much more we can cover, but yeah, thanks for having me, Sean.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Right.
I guess the only thing I see is I don't expect a lot of justice to be done in this life. And, we're just going to have to wait on Elohim or just wait on Yeshua. And, you look at the stuff that even happened before this old boy was born, from a Friday, November 22nd of 1963 in Dallas to whenever. And I just, it's a long thing. It has very little to do with Charlie Kirk in my eyes, with all the things that have been going on in the last even just almost year and a half, and people are not behind bars. So I just put my faith in the Messiah, and I'll leave it at that.
Indeed. Yeah,
in fact, it reminds me of there's a passage in Isaiah in 1 Enoch 63 where they elect one of God that we would suspect to be Yeshua, that he's judging people, and the people that are brought before him, it says they will not be able to utter a lying word to him. And I just pray that, I just want God to come and bring justice to the whole earth. And so that, this particular case, there could be liars on many sides. This could be a simplified situation of one crazy, what's the word they use? Radicalized college kid who tried to take out a political speaker, or it could be a multinational operation where a lot of people are lying because there's hundreds of millions of dollars and warmongering involved, through starting new wars. So I just pray that the Father comes and brings his Torah and his peace to the earth. That's my heart. To everyone else waiting in the back, I'm so sorry we can't get to you. There's other people waiting in the back, but you guys should have tried to jump on 2 hours ago. We're shutting down the show tonight, but we'll do this again. And hope bless you guys. We'll see you next time.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for joining us, everyone, tonight. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Go check us out. If you're watching this on one of our other channels, go subscribe in the video description below or in the live chat to our Lo-Fi Disciple channel. And this is another channel we talk about culture issues more often. And so we'll probably do more solo videos over there. So go check us out over there. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.